music, culture, politics, society, podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on the Spot Podcast and the Film Review Life channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching the Film Review.
Here we are, people. This is another great episode of #TFR Podcast Live. That's the Film Review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast. And do we have a jam-packed show for you today? We are your hosts. Yep. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, society on a podcast we call #TFR Podcast Live. Do we have a jam-packed show for you today? We're going to be talking about the Tom and Jerry movie. Did you find anything wrong with the Tom and Jerry movie? We're going to talk about that. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about one that is called There Is For Sure One Thing That I Know. We're going to be talking about that. Yeah. And first, without further ado, we're going to get right into it. The phone lines are open, 213-943-3358, 213-943-3358. The phone lines are open. We're here to talk about the interview that has been causing all kinds of shockwaves around the industry, especially around the industry of the British Monarchy. You know, it's an industry because, you know, they had so many subjects subjugated over time that you know that it is an industry, right? Now, the Oprah Winfrey interview of the former royals. That's right. Yeah. The interview of the former royals, Meghan and Harry. Right. And this has caused so many bombs to go off. And we have often told you on this show when we will be doing the American black politic, we would talk about bigotry and racism and what it is, and being able to know what type of bigot or racist that you are dealing with, right? You have to know, because to me there are no Caucasians that are not racist just a little bit. They are racist just a little bit. So there are no Caucasians that are free of being racist. And what do I mean by that?
You know, well, go ahead, because this dragged on like all week. Right. All they had to do is simply just apologize to the royal family. Just an apology. It goes a long way.
That's right. But you see, we talked about it on the show, and we talked about racism and what it is and what it's not. And all they would have to do was to apologize.
That's it.
Right?
Right.
And so we're not going to even get into it because you have to go back and watch our previous shows on that. I just wanted to let you know that we have talked about it. So what makes this so insidious? You know, people sit up all the time. They say, and you know, I hear black people saying, you know, the British monarchy is not racist. The British monarchy is not racist. And I have to remind people that, wait a minute, to have subjects, 60 to 70% of the British monarchy's subjects are non-white, right? They are non-white, 60 to 70%. So that meant that over time there had to be colonization. There had to be situations that brought the people who did not look like the Brits to heal. that is racist. It's just like when people say the police, all police aren't bad.
Okay.
And I say, well, how can any of the police be good when their whole setup of how the police is structured and the municipality is structured is based on patty rollers created in South Carolina in 1710.
The founding date of South Carolina.
Wow.
She just started
the phones
on her own.
The phones are talking on their own, and look, and they're playing some music too. I'm telling you, these smartphones are smart to a fault. But anyway, listen, the phone line's over 213-943-3358. Can you turn it down? Turn it down. She wants to talk. She wants to disrupt. You see that? Smash the share button.
Said she's smarter than the air conditioner, and
smash the share button. Smash the like button.
I'm warmer and a better listener too. Okay, she's
talking, right? And we're in the middle of something. Smash the share button. Smash the like button. Let people know that we are on. Let 5 people know. Attach them to a listen. So the monarchy, for what it stands for, the British monarchy, for what it stands for, is racist. It is racist. Anytime you have people who are still subjugated, who are still considered subjects, if it is imperialism like it would be considered in Australia, because those are Caucasian Australians, but the English came over and destroyed the Tasmanians, the Germans did it. Germans destroyed the Tasmanians, cousins to the Aboriginals. The Brits came over and put the Aboriginals to heel so that they will be able to have the land. So either it's colonization or imperialism, it is still subjugating a people, so that makes them inherently racist off the top. So we can just cut that out and quit saying that they're not racist. Now, people seem shocked that, they would ask what color the baby would be, right? What color? Are you worried that the baby would come out basically darker than everyone else, right? Now, if people remember correctly, let me bring this up. I'm going to put this right here, put this over here so that you can see this real quick. Now, if people remember correctly, when Meghan first got over there and she first met with the Queen. The Queen, remember now, this is the story that Meghan Markle told. The Queen showed her Queen Charlotte's jewelry, her crown, her necklaces, and said that there was a black queen. And when you look at her husband, you will see that these were albino blacks that were running the English monarchy, right? And if you know anything about history, if you studied, I sat and talked to James Small. That interview was up, and he spoke on how the whites that were subject to Charlotte and her husband would constantly say, they would walk past each other, we got to get them out of there, we got to get them out of there, we got to get them out of there. It's a constant chant. It's a constant chant that American blacks or black people don't have towards those who oppress them now. They don't have a constant chant of, we must get rid of them, we must get rid of them, we must get them out of there, we must get them out of there. But the whole point is they got them out of there and they made sure that they set people who may not necessarily be
Right.
from the line
Right.
of English, but they could be Germans. We're gonna let that sit right there.
Right.
We're gonna let that sit right there. Now,
Right.
when Meghan Markle told this story, it appeared to me, I said, well, it looks like to me, in hindsight, looking at it now,
Right.
that she was tempting Meghan, right? She was tempting Meghan to see if Meghan would want to possibly try to be a black queen again, to usurp and be a black queen again, right? Because that was her test for Meghan Markle. They said that she was very nice. Do you know that there are Caucasians that will be nice and smile in your face and mean you absolutely, positively nothing, right? So her showing her the diamonds, she said she was real nice, and her showing her the crown and showing her the jewels and everything, and saying that there was a black monarch, that amounts to not even a hill of beans. That means nothing. Now, so when someone says, are you worried about what color that the baby would come out dark, that's basically what they were saying, right? And to say, I saw on a certain channel that the firm is trying to clap back, and said that Prince Charles had come up with the idea years ago to lessen the number of royals and start not handing out titles. So they're coming up with these lies, right? Because the baby didn't get a title. But here's one thing that they cannot lie about. Once Harry and Meghan went over to Canada, which is a subject to the British crown, and they said they wanted to be secondary royals, like so many are secondary royals, and they would do their thing in Canada and not be on center stage in Britain, in England, right? They stripped them of their security.
Which, I mean, that right there speaks volumes.
They stripped them of their security. And their title. As COVID was coming in, and it was getting ready to be a shutdown, and they were going to let people know where they stay. See, there's no, you can excuse all of the other stuff away. You can say, okay, you have to have witnesses to actually get married in England. So, but they said they wanted to do something for themselves. They didn't say that it was the actual marriage. That's why they got married in 3 days later. But they wanted to do something special for just themselves. You can strip, or you can try to explain it away, but you stripped them of their title and took the security away, just as COVID was getting ready to shut down. And they were getting ready to shut down, and they were going to let people know where they were. That meant that opened them up to possible harm. Little Archie, the baby, Meghan and Harry.
Knowing that they had already received death threats, So to do that, what did I say to you? I said, oh gosh, with family like that, who needs enemies?
That's right, who needs enemies?
Literally, when you're thrown to the wolves, and basically, to me, I mean, my view of it is, you don't care about our livelihood. You don't care if someone harms us or not. When you take away security, and Harry is still the son of Prince Charles and the grandson of the Queen.
That's right.
And so when you pull back on security, wow. I mean, that right there, you don't care if we're alive or dead, basically.
That's right. And that they did that before with Princess Diana. So you can see all of this pumping up, right? That is disgusting right there to his face, right?
Shameful.
So you can excuse it. Then it took Tyler Perry
Right.
and Tyler Perry to come to the rescue and provide. Now,
Right.
my question is this. Did Oprah Winfrey believe this to be one of her regular interviews of famous people, where no life-threatening, blistering truths will come out? Whose livelihood, life is in the crosshairs of the Queen, or at least the firm? Oprah, Tyler, Meghan and Harry, Archie, who the monarchy left defenseless, titleless, until Tyler stepped in to offer housing and security.
Right.
How far will the monarchy go with a subject population, 60 to 70% non-white?
Right.
Will the monarchy be able to survive these revelations?
Right.
Now,
Right.
Oprah thought that this was going to be one of those regular interviews. She thought Oprah Winfrey purposely stays away from controversies that have to do with race, right? She stays away from that. But when Meghan opens this up,
Right.
you can look on Oprah's face and all Oprah can say is, what?
Yeah. That was shocking.
You see, this opens up because this opens up a lot of different people to scrutiny of the crown, right? You're looking at Oprah Winfrey, Queen of American media. That's what they're labeling her now since she got this exclusive interview.
Okay.
She has opened herself up to the scrutiny
Okay.
to being in the crosshairs of the Queen. Tyler Perry being a man who was successful enough
Right.
to have the finance enough to be able to not only bring them to California and let them live in his summer house,
Okay.
but he also had a security detail for them.
Okay.
You know, Meghan calling in her favors from when she was in
Okay.
the industry, right? This puts Tyler Perry in the crosshairs. Already, the Queen was going to pull back the security. What do you think that they will do to people who, in their estimation, should not have that type of power
Okay.
anyway?
Right.
You see?
Yeah. So that right there is like, from watching that interview, and when they said that they pulled back on security, I said, oh, wow. Like that right there, I'm like, gosh, they don't care if someone tries to kill them or not. I mean, let's just be frank.
Let's keep it real.
Let's keep it real.
All the way 100.
So it's just like, well, gosh, they just literally like threw them to the wolves. But then, see, this is what I talked about. I talked about pet peeves like a few shows back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I don't respect is people when they throw a stone and hide their hand, right? So it's like, speak your truth. You said it. Don't lie now. Don't backpedal now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you see that a lot, right? So you should cover the ground you stand on. You say something, you need to be able to say, yeah, I said it. Okay, so apologize for it. You were wrong. But instead, they're doing this little spin,
And they're
right?
doubling down.
Right, and then they show Prince Charles walking with some
Not Prince.
the father, right? His
No, that
father.
was the daughter.
Was that
that
the-
was the son.
Oh,
That
the
was
son?
Prince William
Prince
walking
William?
and it had the black
Yeah.
black woman
Oh,
walking
okay.
with
So
him.
that was the son.
Yeah.
And
so we're
then
much
they
not
had the
racist.
father. The father had some woman, British black woman, say something about Meghan being rude or something to the choir during a wedding or something, and that she said that and the Prince Charles is not a racist or whatever. I mean, it's just like all of these crazy stories were just coming out of blue, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, well, you guys are kind of proving what she said, because if what she said isn't true, then you wouldn't have to go in so hard to just pull black people from out the sky and have them standing next to you and even quoting that you're not a racist and you're not this or you're not that. How about just an apology? We were wrong. We apologize. Moving forward, we've learned from this experience, because what they're doing is making them look bad.
They're going to look bad. Photo ops. Will the crown be able to survive this? I don't think so. Then there's fallout all around.
What, Bermuda?
There's Piers.
Oh,
there's Piers Morgan.
Okay.
Piers Morgan got on TV and he
gosh.
had his diatribe, and he said he wouldn't believe anything that Meghan said, and this la-di-da-dee, dee-dee-da, da-da-da-da. And then Sharon, now what's interesting is the Sharon Osbourne, Cheryl Underwood situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's interesting. Now, if someone, now just looking at black people, we practice nonviolence amongst, when it comes to Caucasians. I do the opposite, but you practice nonviolence when it comes to the Caucasians. But if somebody yelled at you and pretty much said that what you were saying really didn't mean anything, and they cursed at you, and they were black, oh my boy, oh my word, you would be in on them like brown on rice. Like, you would be on them as one black person to another black person. You would be on them, right?
Yes.
But she had to hold restraint. Right. Aren't we tired of having to hold restraint? When will American blacks, or just black people period, be able to just be considered human, to be able to react irrational or whatever?
Tell her not to hold her tears, or for her not to cry.
Don't cry, because if anyone needs to cry, don't try to cry, because if anyone should be crying, it should be me.
When she said that, I'm like, okay, that's kind of
condescending. Putting a person in their place. Aren't we tired of not being considered human, where we can go out and act, sporadic, just like they act sporadic, and not be judged for it?
I'm like, these people have lost their damn mind.
Yes, they've lost their mind.
It's just like, okay, if this is how you feel, right? So we're talking about Pierce and Sharon, the royal family, whoever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stand up for how you feel.
Stand up for how you feel.
I mean, if this is your opinion, hold on to it and say, this is my opinion. Stop backtracking, stop skirting and wiggling all around, because when people show you who they are, well, believe them, right? Maya Angelou. So, I mean, come on. We constantly, how many times have people said this about Piers Morgan? Tons, right? Nothing new.
Piers Morgan knows that America is a racist country. I mean, certain people in certain pockets are racist. Right? But the difference between he and Larry King, who just passed, was Larry King was trying to learn about different cultures.
Right.
He was using his privilege in the system that he was in to actually genuinely learn. Piers Morgan used the opportunity to be more of what he was, and thus and so he did not measure up to Larry King. Will the monarchy be able to withstand this barrage?
Why is it that these people who are, they say that they're not racist, but your actions? Like, for instance, Holly Robinson Peete spoke out on how she was treated by Sharon Osbourne on The Talk when she was one of the co-hosts. She's no longer there. She wasn't treated kindly by this woman. So to me, it's kind of like growing up. What is that old saying they said? when you throw a rock into a pack of dogs, the hit dog will holler.
Will holler, yeah.
Like if you're not, if you're black, white, Asian, Latino, whatever. If you're not a racist, you're not going to go off in some tirade because you're like, not talk about me. That's not me. But for me, the people who they get all antsy and they get upset and they screaming and yelling and guess what? Ooh, bingo, you just may be the racist. Because people who are not offended, they know who they are, right? Mm-hmm. So Piers Morgan has a pattern, right? Mm-hmm. Sharon Osbourne has a pattern, right? Mm-hmm. The royal family have a pattern. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of like,
I mean, I
it
wish,
is what it is.
Let me say it again. I wish that people would quit saying the British monarchy is not racist when you still have people subjugated who are subjects under you, either imperialistic or racist. Used racism to basically colonize people. Right. Imperialism or colonization is still the same situation, except for you use certain various techniques, slightly different to handle the black subjects, right?
Right.
You enslave the black subjects, basically. So quit saying that. It's just like you saying we can reform the police. We can reform the police, but you can't reform the police because the police were made from patty rollers, South Carolina, 1710.
Right.
All municipalities are based on that. Right. So will the monarchy, I hope the monarchy takes a dive. I mean, we can have a castle and have the jewels behind glass, and you can walk through there and see that. It can be a museum. Right. We don't have to have Germans that are somehow English, and because there was marriage before the war, before World War I, when they killed Ferdinand. There were French and German and English, and they were marrying different people to keep. We don't need that.
Didn't they report the other day on the news? Wasn't it Bermuda who decided that they no longer wanted the Queen to rule?
That's right. And Australia too.
Okay.
Yes, Australia too. That they said that they're gonna take her. Bermuda most definitely said that they're gonna take her as away as the head of state. Okay. Australia was talking about breaking away also. Right. But yes, so look, people. The English monarchy should come to an end now. It should come to an
because
end.
Just point blank, right? That is just cruel to take security away from. They did it from the. We're not even talking about in America. When they were in Canada, that's the Commonwealth country, right? Mm-hmm. So to take security away from them, and at the time they were acting as secondary, right? Mm-hmm. So to take security away from them, knowing that they were getting like death threats, and to take security, and to announce, they didn't announce they took security away.
And they were going to announce where they were.
So that's like putting a bounty or something over their heads. So it's like, that's cruel. That's so there's no way that they can spin that.
If my grandfather,
that's dirty.
That's their grandfather, Philip, Prince Philip. If he dies, I wouldn't go back.
It's too dangerous.
They're talking about unveiling a statue of Diana
in
July. I'm not going back
to
that.
Can you trust your family when they basically are sending a bunch of...
You didn't even like my mother.
Bounty hunters.
And obviously, you don't like me. And,
Clearly.
So I'm not going back.
You're removing security again with family like that. Who needs enemies? Okay,
so let's move on.
Right.
The next thing is we constantly talk about this all the time, but we need some answers. We talked about Hank Aaron 16 days after he took the vaccine, he was dead. We were still trying to figure out about, did Cicely Tyson take the vaccine at the behest of Tyler Perry? being that she was starting to promote her book. Did she take that, right? We used to talk about that on the now defunct #observations TFR, right? Peace and rest in heaven to my sister. We used to talk about that, and there's certain answers. So this is what Hearns had to say, right? This is what, gutted by the sudden passing of the great Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns said he was in the ICU fighting the effects of the vaccine. We don't want to jump to conclusions, but we also can't rely on mainstream media because of things like this. Now, people may say, oh, that was hindsight. That was Thomas Hearns talking that afterwards. Okay, let's go back. Let's take another slide. We have to take another slide.
Well, while you're doing that, the CDC did say, they said that the older community, right, they're vulnerable. They're vulnerable, and they felt that they definitely needed to have their vaccinations. So what we are seeing are many, elderly celebrities, all of a sudden they're passing away, you know,
after taking the
vaccinations. But the CDC did push. They stated that the elderly people definitely need to be pushed front, along with the first responders, and they needed to take the vaccine to save themselves, for their health.
But then there were studies that came out, and we talked about this on Observations TFR. There are studies that came out that said that people with compromised immune systems should not take the vaccines because it causes complications. But we thought that when the vaccines came out, it was for people who had.
I'm wondering, like, when people take the vaccination, are they taking the people's medical history into accountability? Like, are they asking people, you know, do you have asthma? What are you allergic to? What other
ailments do
you have? Are they asking people this, or are they just injecting them?
I think they're just injecting. But here, okay, so people may say, oh, well, that's just Thomas the Hitman Hearns talking in hindsight. Well, here's another meme right here, right? From Thomas the Hitman Hearns on his Instagram. But he said, so the person who posted this meme said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but look at what Tommy the Hitman Hearns said about Marvelous before he died. So what did Thomas the Hitman Hearns say? A real true warrior prayed for the king and his family. He's in ICU fighting the after effects of the vaccine. He'll be just fine, but we could use the positive energy and prayer for his full recovery. This is how much more clearer can you, or do you need it? It's sitting right there in your face, clear as day, that this man conveyed to Thomas Hitman Hearns, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, conveyed to this man that he had took the shot and he was having complications and he was in the ICU, the intensive care unit, fighting the after effects of the vaccine. He'll be just fine, he thought, but he's not. So, what? I mean, where are they getting this? Where they are getting the people to take the shot? What are they telling them now? Come to find out, Marvelous Marvin Hagler had a successful career making film overseas. Right? And I mean, it's crazy, and he gave it all up to do what he thought was the right thing for his health.
Yeah.
So we have to give honor where honor is due.
Yeah.
The best and the baddest,
Yeah.
marvelous Marvin Hagler, middleweight champion, right?
Condolences to his
Condolences
family.
to his family.
Yeah.
Gone too soon
Yeah.
under the circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Gone too soon
Yeah.
under the circumstances. Smash the share button, smash the like button. I mean, it's just, what more do you need? What more do you need? What more do you need to see?
What is it? Is it the luck of the draw? Because there are those who have received vaccination and they're fine, right? And then there are those who receive the vaccination and they don't survive. So, and then there is a group, they receive the vaccination and they have minor side effects. So it's just like, what category does one fall into? So that's why I'm wondering, are they capturing the data? Are they questioning people? Are they, when they give them the vaccinations? Like, are they keeping an eye on this? Right? So, okay, is this group of people who may be allergic to this group of people, asthma, this group of people, circulatory issues, this group of people, autoimmune disease, like, are they, gathering the person's medical history?
They're not doing any of that. I don't think they really care. But in the
They can't be sued, right?
In the studies, they said that there was a 0.04% of the people
Mm-hmm.
who weren't too lucky with the during the trials. Do you want to be that 0.04%? Because it's that 0.04%. Take those other two zeros away before the decimal point. 0.04% that have adverse effects to the vaccine.
Right.
Do you want to be one of those in that number? Right? And they don't know why. They haven't tried to figure out why. And remember, this is in advocacy.
Okay.
You are basically in trial 3. You are the trial. The people taking the vaccines now are the trial. We talked all about that.
Right.
We've got a new show coming up, people, called Drop Zone. Hip Hop, Gen X, American Black Culture.
Right.
Monday through Saturday. That's right. Monday through Saturday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and then the flagship show comes on Sunday. That's us.
Right.
From 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. So all in that block.
Right.
3 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay.
Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern,
Right.
Monday through Sunday. Sunday through Monday, or Monday through Sunday. Right?
Right.
So you want to tune in for that, because I know you've been seeing the ads. We've been putting the ads up. The show is going to be a humdinger.
It is, because speaking of Drop Zone, you made me think of this when you mentioned Drop Zone. And actually, when I listened to the song, I thought of Drop Zone. So, Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Silk Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
Their new song, Leave the Door Open, is nice, right? And they're going to be performing tonight at the Grammys. But, like, that's an example of what we'll be talking about on the Drop Zone. Like, nice music. Independent artists, national artists, international artists.
Oh, we got, and it's hip hop, Gen X, American Black Culture. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be hitting the information and bringing the entertainment that you're going to enjoy to the fullest. So, Drop Zone beginning April 5th. Mark your calendars.
Right. Music worthy of talking about.
That's right.
Good music.
Right. Independence.
Right.
That's right. So moving on, let's go to our first film. I know this much to be true. I know this much to be true. This movie deals with a pair of twins.
Right.
Basically, not Siamese twins, not like stuck at the hip, but it is a mini series. It's a limited series.
Yep. HBO Max.
6 shows.
Right.
Right? 6 episodes.
Right.
And it deals with the devotion of one twin for the other twin who has always been a few steps behind them.
Right.
Elevator didn't quite go all the way up to the top floor. And what happens is trick camera is used, right?
Right.
Because
Great cast.
the person who plays the twin
Right.
seamlessly cuts between the two on screen at the same time. And who was the cast?
Mark Ruffalo.
That's right. He plays both twins, and what are their names?
Dominique, Birdsey, and it's giving me Dominique's name, and Thomas.
And Thomas, right? All throughout, the one twin that has all of his faculties has suffered.
Right.
Suffered due to the other twin, but he fights for his twin.
He does.
Till the end.
Right.
The initiating event in the whole thing is a certain body part gets cut off. The one twin that the elevator doesn't go all the way to the top cuts off a certain body part, and that's the initiating event, and the show and the movie goes on from there, and it is one big calamity for Dominique after one big calamity.
Well, his brother has been. Well, you can tell that in his earlier years they didn't have a diagnosis for him, right?
They didn't even know that
what was wrong.
Anything was wrong with him, other than he was just. They thought he was just dumb.
Right.
Right.
And later you find out that
he was mentally challenged.
Schizophrenia.
That's right.
A form of schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so this is disturbing. It is a disturbing 6-episode limited series. Yeah. What's the rest of the cast?
Also starring Catherine Hahn, Rosie O'Donnell, who does a great job, right? Mm-hmm. Juliette Lewis, Melissa Leo, who plays their mom, Archie Panjaba, she plays Dr. Patel. She does a great job too, as Dr. Patel. The father, Ray Bursey, is played by John Procastino. Mm-hmm. Rob Hubo, just a great ensemble. Oh, and Guillermo Diaz, we know him from Scandal. He played Huck, I believe, on Scandal.
Who plays right there? We need the Indian right here.
Who?
Right
okay.
There. He's pivotal.
Nabby Drinkwater is played by Tatanka Means.
That's right.
Very pivotal.
A very pivotal part, because there is something that is discovered in this. It's weird how what's in the blood travels through the blood.
Right.
And will show up again in later generations.
Yeah.
There's something that happens because Dominique discovers a manuscript that his mother had of his grandfather.
Right.
And his grandfather wrote down everything. His grandfather was a unscrupulous dude.
Yeah.
He was unscrupulous. He ended up putting his sister-in-law in an insane asylum. Long story. You have to just watch the program.
You know what? I had to search for him because they had them separated. But also, Philip Ettinger, he played the younger version of the twins.
Okay, the twins.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, he's unscrupulous, and it's funny how things pass through, but then he discovers something at the end of the line, at the very end of the story, that he is related to a group. You have to watch this. It's disturbing. It's disturbing, but it is a good story.
Yeah.
It will keep you gripped. It will take you away for a few hours.
Right.
It will take you away for quite a few hours, for at least 6 hours or longer. Are they 2 hours or 1 hour?
1 hour.
1 hour apiece.
Maybe a little over.
Maybe a little over. 6 hours. It will take you away for 6 hours as you watch each episode, as you binge watch, because you can binge watch.
Right.
It is a great piece put together by a person that, has complex tales that he tells anyway.
Right.
See, I don't want to give anything away.
Now, all I can say is, now this is family. Right?
Yeah, this is family.
This is family.
This is family. Even the stepfather. The stepfather loved these boys. He stepped right in and did what was necessary.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So, let's break it down. Cinematography, that's a 10.
Right.
The use of showing the city and the rural areas and the beautiful waterfalls, that's a 10. The use of the cemetery, that's a 10.
Right.
Character development,
Mm-hmm.
introducing you to each character,
Right.
what one will do for the other,
Yeah.
what the deficiency is in one compared to the other.
Yeah.
That is a 10.
Yeah.
The use of flashbacks in this to tell the story, it's a 10.
Yeah.
The character arc,
Right.
by the time you get to the end of the film, you're like, what is going to give? And it's the ultimate arc that happens.
Right.
And you're going to see this. It's a great film.
Right.
Great piece of work.
Yeah.
The use of wardrobe, of going from the 60s into today, and the different cars in between, and that's a 10. The shot of the Statue of Liberty when the two twins are sitting there on the railing looking at the ferry head over to the Statue of Liberty, that's a beautiful shot. I mean, cinematography, I already said that's a 10.
Yeah.
Plot through line. The plot through line in this is superior.
It is.
It is a 10.
It is.
The use of secondary characters with lines that move the story along, that help move the story along with Dominique, is a 10. The whole production is a 10.
It is. I mean, it's just.
What would you give it?
I would definitely give it a 10 plus because you have it all in this film, right? You have, well, of course, you have family, right? You have sacrifice, forgiveness, betrayal, like all in one story. And the thing is, well, one of the reasons why I said, okay, we have to see this, because we saw who was starring in it, right? Okay, so Mark Ruffalo, right? He does a great job selecting his projects. You know, he's another person who you can just kind of bet on all of his projects. It's going to be a good project. He's a great actor, and he puts 100% of himself in his character. You can tell he's committed to the story. He's committed to his craft. It's just great storytelling and just well written, and it's just such a great story, you know. And when it ended, right after the 6th episode, we're like, "Is this it?" I mean, you know, it ended. You know, the ending was great. It wasn't like one of those films that we talked about previously that just like it's off, it goes off, it's over with, and you're like, what happened? No, I mean, it was closure.
The ending was was not necessarily.
Well,
It was-
it gave we
it gave
understood
closure.
it. It gave closure. I mean, it just didn't like end with the question mark, right?
Right.
So, but when it ended, the story is so good, you kind of want to know more about this character and what happened.
Right.
Because you'll find, we're not going to give anything away, but at the end, another door opens, right, for him. And you kind of want to go, not kind of, you definitely want to go on that journey with him also.
You want to see that door open.
You want to
and
see,
go through.
exactly. So, I mean, this is just like a beautiful, beautiful film. And like you said, the cinematography is beautiful. Just everything, like the directing, the wardrobe and design,
The cuts,
right? The dialogue, the edits.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, even the landmarks, like you said, just
using the city as a living, breathing character.
The waterfall, like
Right.
just everything, you know, and just seeing the progression. Like I said, you see them from maybe what young boys at the age of maybe somewhere between 8 to 10 or 6?
6 to 8.
6 to 8, right? And then you see them as teenagers,
Right.
you know, heading into college, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see them as men. So great. It's a great story.
And there's physicality, dust ups, and misses, and it's all believable between the twins, right?
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah.
So I know this much is true. HBO Max, I give it a 10.
Yeah.
Moving on, people, to one called Tom and Jerry,
Yes.
the movie.
Right.
Tom and Jerry, the movie. Now, smash the share button, smash the like button, because this is very important that you hear this review, because your little children are watching this film, right? And the zeitgeist that is in the film can be very detrimental to American black children. And I'll tell you why. It seems benign on the front, but it is. Tom and Jerry movie, Tom and Jerry the movie, is as racist as the original cartoons, the Chuck Jones and the Hanna-Barbera. You know what I mean? It is as racist as the original cartoon.
Not Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, Tom and Jerry. It is as racist as the original cartoon. Now, take it from a person who grew up watching Tom and Jerry, who grew up watching Warner Brothers, who grew up watching Mighty Mouse, Underdog, Woody Woodpecker, Top Cat, you name it. But who grew up, who Tom and Jerry was the cartoon that I sat in front of, because at least once a year, Midnight Serenade would come on.
Yeah.
Midnight Serenade would come on, where Tom Cat would jump over, trick Butch the Bulldog, tie him up, and take his base, stand under the window of the porcelain white cat that he was interested in, and play a song. What song did Tom Cat play? He played Is You Is or Is You Ain't My Baby. Now, Is You Is or Is You Ain't My Baby is a Louis Jordan. Now remember, I told you, Louis Jordan is the creator of rock and roll. You just move the saxophone out and put in lead guitar with the 3 strings, or more strings than that, but you go in, you put in the lead guitar, and you're listening to Louis Jordan's rhythm section and most of the rock and roll that you hear.
Okay.
Most famously through Chuck Berry, but then through the other Haley in the Comets. You go through Big Bopper, all the ones that were doing the rock and roll, even Elvis Presley, Sun Records. You hear Louis Jordan because all rock and roll is what was called rhythm and blues. Now, Hanna-Barbera did not go get Louis Jordan to sing the song. This is a big hit by Louis Jordan, right? They go and get a Caucasian man to emulate Louis Jordan, right? Now, Louis Jordan, other than the title, Is You Is or Is You Ain't My Baby, right? He was pronouncing words in every syllable, right? This guy, imitating what he thought he heard from black people, said things like, it sure has got me down. Is you is or is you ain't my baby. So then the song goes on because, for copyright purposes, we have to break it up. A woman is a creature that's always been strange. Just when you thought you got one figured out, she go on and make a change. Ooh, is you my baby, baby. Now, Louis Jordan says, is you my baby, baby. He doesn't say baby, baby. Right? So automatically, though I like the song, and back then I thought it was a black man singing the song.
Okay.
But it was a Caucasian man emulating a black man singing this song. And once a year I would wait for Midnight Serenade to come on. Sometimes it would come on twice a year if WUAB messed up and somehow flipped the switch and put in a different track of them of Tom and Jerry. Then you will see this. Okay. So they didn't get Louis Jordan to do this song. This is a big hit in the 30s. Right. This is how long Tom and Jerry has been around. Chuck Jones, Hanna-Barbera. Right. Even at one point was taken over by the French, and the French, I couldn't stand those cartoons, those versions of it. I cut it off. I couldn't understand it. But anyway. This movie is race. So let's open up. So the movie opens up, and it opens up with opening timpani of a real hit record from the 90s. And you're sitting there, and you're saying, wait a minute, this is hip hop right here. And you start to bounce as you open up, and you like, wait a minute, are they gonna play this? And you see these birds flying, right? And the birds are flying through the air, and it's like 3 birds, and then I say, oh, they must be introing. They're gonna have just the instrumental, but next thing you know, you hear Fife, and Q-Tip say, can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. That's on. And then you hear
nice intro.
Q-Tip kicking it, and the minstrel bird is singing Q-Tip.
Now, why does it have to be a minstrel bird? Couldn't the bird just be singing?
We have to tell the truth here and shame the devil. Or you have to let up on Dumbo. Look up Dumbo real quick. Unlike Tom and Jerry Midnight Serenade.
Okay.
We're looking up the ones who be done seen about everything. The Black Crows in
Okay.
Dumbo. I'm looking for the actual choir that actually sung that. It's under a man's name, right? It's a black man.
Original
right?
song.
Yeah. I'm looking for the choir name. It's the Black Crows in Dumbo,
Okay.
right? The choir that sung that, right? Now, so these are minstrel birds flying. Now, nothing has changed in this Tom and Jerry situation. These are minstrel birds flying in the air. Now, I'm just gonna let you know. Automatic. So this is just is smash the share button, smash the like button, because we're getting ready to take you places. You have to be very careful because racism is insidious and it can get into the sight gate and cause all kinds of damage to your children. So the birds are flying through, and at first it seems
Is it
interesting.
the Cliff Edwards Hall Johnson Choir and
That's
Jim
right.
Carmichael?
Say it again. Say it again.
Cliff Edwards Hall Johnson Choir and Jim Carmichael.
That's right. This is an actual the Black Crows that say I be done seen about everything when I see a elephant fly. Now the NAACP downed that, right? But that was a black choir troupe that sung that. That was a pastor and his black choir that actually came in. Walt Disney actually brought them in. So unlike Midnight Serenade, where they had a white man emulating Louis Jordan, they actually brought this in. Now, so you've got minstrel birds flying in Dumbo, but you've got minstrel birds flying at the beginning of Tom and Jerry. They have nothing to do with the film except for they bring in the most popular music of the time, 20 to 30 years removed from its most popular time, which is Tribe Called Quest, and they have the one bird singing the words of Q-Tip. And then by the time you get to Fife, you just hear his words. You don't hear no bird saying his words, because I thought that was a letdown, but hey, But so you got minstrel birds flying, you got minstrel birds flying in Dumbo. They want to take the minstrel bird scene from out of Dumbo. I didn't find anything wrong with the minstrel bird scene in Dumbo. Like, I don't see anything wrong with Song of the South with the man who should have got an Oscar for playing live action up against cartoons when he sings zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. My, oh my, what a wonderful day, right? NAACP killed that. I mean, it was destroying actors. And when you know what the NAACP, who actually made up the NAACP, you're like, these people are destroying these people. Everybody's trying to have a living, but you're destroying these people, telling them what they are and what they aren't. So the minstrel birds are flying.
Oh. Gosh,
the minstrel birds are flying and they're singing, "Can I kick it? Yes, I can." And everybody's like, "Oh yeah, wow." So then they come down and they introduce you to Tom and Jerry's characters, right? And Tom and Jerry's characters are trying to get into this hotel, right? Because it's rainy out. It's cold outside. Not physically cold because it's a summer's day, but it's cold outside. There's many different situations that are taking place, and it's cold outside. And at one point, it becomes rainy outside, and they're trying to get into the hotel. So Jerry Mouse gets into the hotel first. And then Tom Cat finally makes it into the hotel, right? Now, juxtapose, they intro in just like Tom and Jerry would do. They would play the most modernist of music during the time of the 30s and 40s. They played the most modernist of music, right? But this is a live action cartoon film. This is not a Tom and Jerry film, right? This is a storyline about a young woman
Yeah.
trying to basically make her way and get up off the street herself.
Yeah,
'Cause she could
played
be-
by Chloe Grace Moritz.
Right. Now, if you, what's her name again?
Chloe Grace Moritz.
Now, the time that you saw her, she was in this movie that flopped. It was a, what's his name? The actor, what's the actor's name? Johnny Depp.
Okay.
And it was
it Shadows?
Yeah, Dark Shadows.
Shadows.
And she said she turns into a vampire. She's been trying to make it since then. Right? You're sitting in there, you get the most modernist of music for its time period, and so you think that you're going to see a black story. If you're going to see live action along with this, but set in the middle of this is a protagonist that is a Caucasian girl who has a love interest, which is a black barista, right?
Played by Jordan Bulger.
If you're going to do this, no Megan Good, no black Disney kid, but an actress that has been trying to make it since that flop, since that Johnny Depp flop, right? She's been trying to make it, and they put her in the middle of this story, and it looks as if it should be a black girl there. So automatically, they use the music to draw in the black audience, but then they do the bait and switch, and they give you this protagonist.
Okay. She plays Kayla.
Kayla! Kayla!
You want the rest of the cast?
In a second.
Okay.
Kayla! This is the person's name. Kayla! Kayla is not... I've never known it to be a Caucasian female's name. It might be coming around now because Kayla has been in the lexicon, in the black lexicon for a while, so it could possibly be moving over, but her name is Kayla, which makes you feel that it should be a black protagonist within this action here, telling the story in this multicultural cast.
Now, we reviewed the movie, I believe, Greta, and Chloe Grace Moritz. She played in that film. She's a really good actress. Greta was an interesting film. We reviewed it, and but yeah, Tom and Jerry. The scenes that we saw Tom and Jerry in, I mean, it was interesting. I feel like maybe the film was maybe kind of thrown together, right? But it was nice to see Tom and Jerry again. We haven't seen them in years.
The gags weren't set up because this is live action, right?
Right.
So there's a scene where Tom is lured into hitting something in the closet, and I said, "Oh, that's gonna be Butch." And then then Tracy was like, "How do you know that?" I said, "It's a gag. It's a gag." It wasn't set up though, right? The Tom and Jerry gags were not set up, right? Because you have this live action going on, and really, Tom and Jerry are used to buffer the live action story, right? That's what they're used to do. It's not a story of their own. They are like our secondary characters to the main story, right? And so this is what makes it disingenuous, right? So automatically you're popped in. So you got the minstrel birds singing. So people should really take offense to that.
The minstrel birds.
Because they take offense to the black crows. I be done singing about everything when I see an elephant fly. They want to take that out. They want to take out. They had took out song of the South. Right. Zippity doo dah, zippity day, my oh my, what a wonderful day. Right. They took that, plenty of sunshine. Right. They took that out, and so this is just as racist as. Remember, Tom and Jerry had the mammy.
Okay.
You didn't see what the mammy looked like.
I thought she was the owner.
But she would sit up there and she would have on ragtag clothes sitting up there. The food would be laid out on the table, and she's sitting up there with her feet up, and and then all of a sudden something would happen between Tom and Jerry, and then it would go to town, but you would never see the mammy, right?
Right.
But she would say, Tom.
We didn't see her this time, huh?
I mean, she wasn't in there, but they didn't have to. The lines of racist thought still somehow push through, even though their intention was to bring it up to date and get rid of all offensive things. Just because the birds are colored blue and not colored black doesn't mean they're not minstrel birds.
Okay.
Because they're singing. That's the minstrels, right? Just because Tom and Jerry are in the middle of a movie and you see some of the Tom and Jerry sight gags doesn't mean that it's a Tom and Jerry movie.
Right.
And in the middle, after bringing you in, you get a protagonist named Kayla, who is a Caucasian woman who has been trying to make it. What are you gonna say?
You know, I would like to have. I thought I was going to see kids in the movie also, but were there any children in the movie? I don't think so.
No.
It's all adults.
All of
But I think it would have been better if Tom and Jerry, if the story had centered around kids, even kids at the hotel. You know, staying at the hotel with their parents. You know, they could have threw that in. But it was. I didn't see as much of Tom Jerry as I wanted, right? And but I mean it was okay. At the end I was like, okay, it wasn't bad. Right? Could have been worse.
But they were just facilitated. They were facilitators for the story.
Right.
And not the story being the facilitator for them.
Right.
Right. Now the storyline, it's a good plot through line. It's a good plot through line.
Right.
But you have too many elements. Now remember, I loved Tom and Jerry coming up as a kid, right? As a child, coming up and watching it.
Right.
But there's certain realities to the situation that you see when you realize what was being done and what was being conveyed. Now, they have the same porcelain cat, same white feline that Tom is interested in. Now,
she's vicious. Was she more vicious?
Yeah, she's more vicious, but she's porcelain white. When Tom jumps over, when you're a kid, you don't see it, but it goes into your mind. Maybe that's why a lot of black, I never wanted a white woman, but maybe that's why a lot of dudes who was watching the cartoons, they saw that porcelain white cat sitting up high on the perch and wanted something pale. I mean, it's something that goes into the sight and goes and stays there. I liked it for the song. I didn't care who he was singing it to. I liked it for the song. So this is the same porcelain cat. You open with a hip hop record, but the person's love interest is this porcelain white cat. Racist.
Okay, so let me mention the cast. Okay, so also starring Michael Pena plays Terrence. Palava Sharda plays Preda. Colin Jost, we know him from Saturday Night Live. He plays Ben. Ken Jeong plays Chef Jackie. And then again, I mentioned Jordan Blogger. He plays Cameron. Reggaeton artist Ozuna is also on the film. And so yeah. Oh, Little Rail is also on the film.
Little Rail is in the film.
Yeah. So
So I mean, it's a
and Bobby Cannavale.
Yeah, he's in the film. You know, it's a multicultural cast. The through line is a good story. It's just not a Tom and Jerry movie.
Right.
If I wanted to see a movie with live action, you could just find two other characters to put in there and tell this live action story. You don't have to use Tom and Jerry. It's funny because we had about a couple of months ago, about maybe 5 months ago, I was like, you know, Warner Brothers owns everything.
Right.
They own MGM.
Right.
They own all of the Tom and Jerry. They own the Warner Brothers. No, excuse me. No. It's Disney.
Okay.
Disney owns Warner Brothers, all of Warner Brothers cartoons.
Okay.
And they own all of the MGM cartoons, right?
Right.
And I said, we'll probably never see another Tom and Jerry cartoon because Mickey Mouse is their cash cow. Okay. And next thing you know, they're dropping this film, Tom and Jerry, the movie.
Right.
I mean, it just seemed strange, and it just came up out of nowhere. Like they had it sitting there, and someone would make an observation that Tom and Jerry hasn't been out in a while.
Right.
And lo and behold, here's Tom and Jerry, the movie, coming out. Okay.
You know, and lastly, the person that plays the real estate rat in the film is played by comedian Utkarsh and Budkar.
So there's a multicultural cast in this, but it doesn't take away from elements that are wrong, still wrong in it, right? The sight gags aren't set up correctly. It's not a Tom and Jerry movie. It's a movie where they facilitate the action and not the action facilitating them. So let's break this down.
Okay.
The cinematography, the use of movement of camera with the live action and cartoon and eye points and you know sight lines and all that matched beautifully. That's a 10, right? I'm gonna go and give a little criticisms too.
Okay.
There's some elements that Disney uses that don't come from MGM, but they come from Warner Brothers. Like the closing round is a Warner Brothers round. I'm like, that's Porky Pig. That's not Tom and Jerry. That's Porky Pig. That's all, folks, but he doesn't come up. So there's some problems, right? And then there's within the cinematography there is a couple of dust ups where Tomcat, Jerry Mouse, Butch the dog, what was it?
The cat.
The cornerstone. What do they call those? Concierge.
Oh, okay.
Right? I'm trying to get to it. Well, they're all in this dust up. This dust up, they didn't have dust ups like that in Tom and Jerry. They had dust ups like that in Warner Brothers. So they're borrowing from their license what they own, and they're mixing metaphors. I'm going to call it mixing metaphors because that is not what it is. You will see when Tom and Jerry moved, they moved in free action, and you will see them chase. You wouldn't see them in a scrum and a dust up. That's Warner Brothers. So within the live action, it fits and it works, but it's not Tom and Jerry. So, but the cinematography is a 10. Using elements from Warner Brothers, that's a 4. Okay, that's a 4. Introduction of Tom and Jerry to introduce who they are and their personalities. I get at a 10. That's a 10. The character arc. It really made, usually Tom wasn't considered a dumb cat. he just had misfortunes,
Right.
but the way that they arced him in this picture, they made him seem like he was dumb. And and I thought, who got that perception from watching the old Hanna-Barbera Chuck Jones versions of Tom and Jerry? I don't know. That's a 4. The arcing on Jerry just seemed kind of cruel, didn't he? Seem
Yeah, he was mean.
I remember
He was mean.
I remember when they drew a new Peanuts,
Mm-hmm.
and they had Snoopy was always cool.
Yeah.
He wasn't cruel.
No.
But whoever drew that and drew the treatment for it
Right.
and his mannerisms, actions, he was laughing all the time in this
Right.
new one, and he was cruel towards.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a cool cat. He
Right.
wasn't. He was a cool beagle.
Right.
He wasn't a cruel.
Yeah,
beagle.
he wasn't cruel to Charlie Brown.
Right.
Or to the beagle.
Or to he's a beagle.
Oh, I mean,
Or
with
to
the
the
little
bird,
bird.
to Tweety
Yeah.
Bird, right?
Yeah.
He wouldn't laugh at Tweety. Ha ha ha! Like when Tweety Bird fell down in the dirt, he wouldn't just go laugh, right? It was really.
What's that bird's name?
It was really.
With the spike hair. Let me see.
It was Tweety, right?
Tweety is not Charlie Brown.
It's not. Oh, it's Twiggy, Iggy. It's something like that. Okay, so I'm getting the birds from that. Tweety Bird is Tom and Jerry, right? No, Tweety Bird is Sylvester.
Yeah.
Is with Sylvester the cat. That's Warner Brothers. See,
Right.
you gotta keep this together. The plot through line. That's a 10. The use of live action in the street scenes.
Woodstock.
Woodstock, that's right. Throughout all the scenes. That's a 10.
Right.
The use of the opening minstrel birds, though it rocks and you like, what's going on? I thought the birds was just going to rock to the song. They start mouthing Q-Tip's verse. I'm like, okay.
I thought that was cute.
I thought it was cute. You think it's cute at first. But then when you really look at it and you break it down, you say, no, this isn't cute.
I think I was just so happy to hear the song.
Right.
Right.
And that's what they're banking on, is you would lose
Right.
your cognitive skills to be able to break down critically, right?
Okay.
That's a 4,
Okay.
right?
Right.
The lack of setup of the sight gags between Tom and Jerry,
Okay.
that is a 2, right?
Okay.
So what would you rate Tom and Jerry?
What is your number? Cause
What would you rate Tom and Jerry? What?
I would give it a 7.
A 7.
That's not bad. That's
A
not bad. That's not a
7.
bad number.
A 7. We got a phone call at 708.
Okay, grab it.
Let's open it up before I give my rating. 708, you're on the line. Who are we speaking with? 708. Okay, they might want to just listen. Okay. They probably want to just listen. So we'll put them back on.
7 is not a bad number.
No.
The only reason why I didn't give it a 10 is because, like, I don't like how mean Tom and Jerry, because Jerry normally, he's mischievous, but he was, like, really mean in this film, right?
Yeah.
And in the intro, I'm not going to give that away,
Mm-hmm.
but what Jerry does to Tom's equipment,
Yes.
I mean, it's just...
Tom is minding his own business.
I'm like, this is kind of mean.
See, Jerry usually didn't act
Right.
unless he was annoyed.
Exactly.
Right? Unless let's say Tom is doing something that's making noise and
Okay.
Jerry's trying to sleep. Jerry would come out and do something, and then Tom will flick him off.
Right.
And then Jerry will get started. Jerry comes in and takes... You have to watch it. But it's really not the Tom and Jerry formula, right?
Right. And there was an event. And the outcome of the event, what happened, like the whole setup, like I don't know. I mean, it was okay. It was entertaining. I mean, it was during the COVID. It was something to watch. Right?
It doesn't. I mean, when you look at it, when you know the back history behind the minstrel, and you have the back for the same things that they're doing in this film, other films are being tagged and wanting to be taken out of being within this syntax of this society. They want to take it out of the zeitgeist of this society altogether for the same things that this film is doing.
Right.
And when you look at it, you're like, whoa. Right. So for me, Tom and Jerry is something to watch. You know, you got to be able to explain it to your kids, right? You have to be able to explain it to your kids.
Do you think kids will watch it? Because this is mostly like adult. That's why, you know, when I said earlier, I would have liked to see children kind of involved in this film centered around, you know, Tom and Jerry. I mean, this is, I don't think a kid would want to sit through this. I think this is more of like an adult.
For the people who remember Tom and Jerry. Right?
Yeah, because it's like the scenes where you do see Tom and Jerry. A child will watch it for a little while, but then once they get to the adult storyline, right, which it is predominantly about, I think a kid would find something else to do and just pop back up and just look to see see Tom and Jerry, the little cartoon version, and like, I don't think a child would really want to just like sit through this. That's why I thought they should have involved more children. And like that one film that we reviewed was a good film. The one was The Witches with Octavia Spencer.
Right.
That was on HBO Max. Now that was really good.
Yeah, that was good. That was a nice combination because the kids were involved.
Right. And then you had, it was an all-star cast, right? But it was a remake of Angelica Houston's Witches.
Version, right? Which was more of an adult.
Right. So this one, Octavia Spencer's version, she was executive producer, right?
Along with Chris Rock. I mean, was more entertaining, and it was a combination of adult and children, and I thought that Tom and Jerry would be the same way. Yeah, I agree with that. So my rating on Tom and Jerry, for the obvious reason, because I got to go deeper. Okay. Deeper than I've ever gone. I have to give it a 4. What? 4? Yeah, I have to give it a 4. I have to give it a 4 for what it stands. It stands for something. Right. It stands for. True. When you grow up watching it. For something. Yeah. Right. And like I said, I liked Tom and Jerry. I loved Tom and Jerry when I came up as a child watching it. Right. Mm-hmm. But I have to tell the truth about what it potentially did to the people who viewed it. Right. It seemed innocuous. It seemed harmless, right. But it was very detrimental to the zeitgeist going into the membrane. The porcelain cat. When I saw the porcelain cat, I was almost done with the movie then. And not to mention that she had a bad attitude. Yeah, she was mean. But anyway, so that's a 4. Okay. Right. All right, people. So, hey, guess what? That's pretty much the show, right? Mm-hmm. We have finished another great episode of #TFR Podcast Live, right? Yeah. We appreciate you tuning in, watching us, coming in, loving our reviews. Right. We appreciate you. We're getting ready to go watch the Grammys now because Bruno Mars, the misappropriator of culture, and is not, and what's his name? Anderson .Paak have misappropriator of culture, as some say. I'm just saying, as some say. And they're wrong, right? Yeah, you don't believe it, right? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But hey. But people always have something negative to say. But the same song The same song. I saw the interview with him and them and was it Ryan Seacrest.
Oh, they did an interview with Ryan Seacrest too?
Ryan Seacrest.
The Breakfast Club interview.
That was real good. The Ryan Seacrest was milquetoast, but the same song he wouldn't have an all black act on. Like, has he ever had Anthony Hamilton on?
Ryan Seacrest.
Anthony Hamilton live band.
Right.
Up tempo, slow tempo stuff.
Right.
Up there with,
Yeah.
up there with Bruno Mars, but it's something about having people who are not American black doing the American black music for some people. So do you fault them for it, or do you fault the racists who won't give black artists the opportunity to be on pop radio?
Well, there are a few people who are...
My opinion on that, I have to say my opinion, to be clear on that. My opinion on the racism of a racist, right?
Okay.
But we're going to see them on the Grammys tonight because he begged and they're going to let them perform that new song. That new song is hot.
Yes.
And we can't wait to hear the full album because it sounds good. You can't deny good. Caucasians deny good. American blacks don't. I guess that's what gives us our saving grace and helps us see the kingdom of heaven in the end, while they see lake and hellfire in the end.
Okay, so Beyonce is up for 3 awards, right?
Oh.
And
is her former bandmate up for anything?
I don't know, but Megan Thee Stallion is up too, and hopefully Megan, she's been putting in a lot of work these last few years, and she definitely deserves a Grammy.
Did you see Kelly Rowland on Good Morning America?
Okay.
Did they not F her sound? Like, Good Morning America did not give her good sound quality debuting that new record she was debuting. What does the record actually sound like? No one knows. It sounded worse than The Weeknd on the Super Bowl with all those highs. I mean,
Speaking of The Weeknd, he's boycotting the Grammys.
Why?
Because he wasn't nominated for anything. And then Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber is also boycotting the Grammys because they put his album in the pop category.
And not the gospel.
No, and not in the R&B.
Oh, he wanted in the R&B?
Yeah, he wanted to be in the R&B category, so he's also boycotting the Grammys.
Oh, well.
And I guess this is my first time watching the Grammys in a while.
Yeah, it is.
So because I'm watching it, I want to see Meghan win her award tonight.
Right.
So I'm going to watch it tonight because it's been a while since because it's just like, I feel like Nicki Minaj should have won a Grammy like a long time ago. So it's just too many, it's like a lot of politics. So if Meghan doesn't win tonight, and if Beyonce doesn't win tonight, I'm just going to have to go back to boycotting the Grammys.
Well, remember the year that Beyonce won, they weren't there, remember?
Oh yeah, because the year before that, they didn't give her an award.
They gave it to the fat singer from England. What's her name?
Oh, okay.
Oh, she's no longer fat though. She had the whatever that is, whatever. But anyway, people, this has been a robust episode of #TFR Podcast Live. That is the Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society Podcast. You can hear us on TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcasts. Make sure that you subscribe or follow us on one of those platforms, one of your favorite podcast providers. We are on there. We appreciate you. We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society on one that we call #TFR Podcast Live. And we will see you next Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, on another great episode of #TFR Podcast Live. The Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society Podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more.
live Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on the Spot Podcast and the Film Review Life channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching The Film Review.